Imagine a 15-year-old kid with zero knowledge of Jujutsu sorcery is sitting in a hospital room watching his grandfather die. But this time, the door opens and in walks an 83-year-old man with the same face and 68 years of experience that would make every sorcerer alive look like a fraud. Modulo Yuji, arguably the strongest sorcerer in history, standing in front of teenage Yuji Itadori, looking at himself and having to decide how much of the truth to tell him. That is the scenario, and the moment you really think about what that training would look like, what would old Yuji teach first, what he would never teach at all, the entire Jujutsu Kaisen story changes completely. So let's build it from the ground up. Teenage Yuji had unlimited talent. Gojo himself confirmed Yuji was one of the three students alongside Yuta and Hakari with the potential to match or even exceed his abilities. The talent was never the problem. The problem was that every time Yuji reached for his cursed energy in a real fight, the emotion got there first. He was angry, grieving, or guilty. Yuji's potential was held back by his inability to separate what he felt from what he needed to do. Over 68 years since the battle against Sukuna, Yuji's skills in cursed energy manipulation were honed to the point of making him a beast, surpassing Gojo Satoru himself. 68 years! That is what it took for Yuji to solve what teenage Yuji couldn't. Now give that solution to the student who still has time to use it. Modulo Yuji doesn't wait for teenage Yuji to swallow the finger. He finds him before that, 2 days before Megumi shows up at the high school. He doesn't introduce himself, he doesn't explain where he came from or what he knows. He sits down across from a 15-year-old version of himself and says 4 words. You feel too much. Teenage Yuji stares at him confused. Modulo Yuji doesn't elaborate. Yuji's tendency to get emotionally invested during fights hampered him at critical moments. During his fight with Hanami, he was initially unable to use Black Flash because he was angry at the curse for hurting his friends. Modulo Yuji knows this because he lived it. He knows exactly which moments the emotion caused teenage Yuji, and he knows it caused him again at Junpei, again at Nobara, again at Nanami. 68 years of looking back at the same mistakes. He is not here to prevent the pain. He is here to make sure the pain doesn't also take the technique. 2 days later, Megumi shows up at the high school. The finger gets swallowed. The story begins. In June 2018, Yuji swallows Sukuna's finger to exorcise a special grade curse attacking his friends, becoming the vessel and drawing the attention of Satoru Gojo, who enrolls him at Tokyo Jujutsu High. This part of the timeline doesn't change. Modulo Yuji made a rule for himself before he arrived. He does not intervene in events, he does not step in, he does not use what he knows to redirect the story, because he understood something that teenage Yuji doesn't yet. Every loss that is coming is also a lesson that cannot be taught any other way. You cannot train someone to survive grief, you can only train them to keep moving through it. But what changes is this. Teenage Yuji arrives at Tokyo Jujutsu High already carrying something he doesn't have a name for yet. A seed planted in a hospital room by a stranger with his face. 4 words and nothing else. You feel too much. Gojo trains teenage Yuji during the day. Everybody knows that already. What nobody knows is what happens at night. Somewhere away from the main building, Modulo Yuji appears every night at Yuji's place asking one question, repeated until the body stops getting it wrong. Someone gets hurt in front of you. What do you do in the next 3 seconds? Teenage Yuji answers wrong every time. But that is not even the worst part. The worst part is the old man himself. He just appears. No knock, no sound at all. 1 second the room is empty, the next he's there. Sitting across from Yuji with that face. Literally his face. Scarred in places Yuji doesn't recognize yet. The first night Yuji screams. The old man doesn't react. Someone gets hurt in front of you. What do you do in the next 3 seconds? Yuji can't even process this question yet. He just stares at this impossible wrong version of himself and answers wrong. The old man nods once, stands up, gone, no explanation. Night 2 is worse because now Yuji is expecting it. He isn't ready. By night 5, he stops asking who the old man is. By night 10, he stops being afraid of the arrival. He starts being afraid of the eyes instead. The way they look at him like every wrong answer has already been given before. Like this man has already lived everything that is about to happen to Yuji and chose to show up anyway. On night 12, something in Yuji's hands changes. On night 12, Yuji finally gets it right. Not because he thought his way through it, because his body stops waiting for permission. The technique fires first. The grief lands just somewhere it can't reach the fists. That is the answer. That was always the answer. Modulo Yuji stands to leave and finally says, "Don't waste it." Mahito groomed and killed Junpei, transfiguring him directly in front of Yuji, forcing him to watch his friend die in his arms while begging Sukuna for help that never came. Modulo Yuji cannot stop this. He made the rule. He stands outside the school far enough that the rule holds, close enough that he feels the exact moment it happens anyway. He has always known what that moment feels like. He carried it for 68 years. He does not move, because he is the proof that surviving this moment is possible. He's standing here, 68 years later. That is the only comfort he can offer, and he can't offer it out loud. What comes next is different. In the original timeline, the first punch lands on Mahito's soul by accident. Mahito's nose starts bleeding out of nowhere. He registers something wrong about this kid. Then Nanami arrives and the fight ends before it can become anything more. Mahito escapes with a warning light flashing. In this timeline, the first punch lands exactly the same way. Instinct, rage, the body doing what it already knows how to do. Mahito's nose bleeds the same way. The soul contact happens the same way. But Nanami doesn't need to arrive, because teenage Yuji, 12 nights of the same question living in his hands, feels what just happened in his fists and recognizes it. The same way his body stopped giving the wrong answer on night 12, something locks in. The shape of the soul, exactly where it lives, exactly how to aim. He throws 5 more punches, every single one finds the same target. Mahito, who built his entire strategy around breaking Yuji emotionally, finds himself in a fight he didn't model. A first year who is completely devastated and completely dangerous at the same time. Every psychological weapon misfires. He escapes, but he escapes afraid. Modulo Yuji appears the night after the Mahito fight. No question this time. He sits down across from teenage Yuji, who is staring at his own hands like they belong to someone else. Then Modulo Yuji says, "You felt it in the fight. Something in your fist that landed differently." Teenage Yuji looks up. That wasn't luck. You felt 2 souls in that body for months. You already know what a soul feels like from the inside. Tonight you aimed at it without knowing you were aiming. He let that sit. Next time, you will know. Because Yuji housed 2 souls in one body, he developed a subconscious awareness of the boundary between his soul and Sukuna's. The ability was always there. What Modulo Yuji gives teenage Yuji is not the ability itself, just the name for it. And the name is the difference between a reflex and a weapon. After kicking Yuji's face into a tree and believing he had won, Todo turned away, then stopped when Yuji got back up. One question about girls, a false memory, and in the span of 1 sentence, Todo decides they are brothers. Some things are just inevitable. Todo gave Yuji one correction. Stop letting the energy lag behind. Meet the strike. In the original timeline, Yuji hit 4 consecutive black flashes. In this timeline, it clicks faster. Todo gives the final key. Modulo Yuji already built the door. 4 black flashes. 5. 6! And then on the 6th, Yuji stops hitting Hanami's body. He hits the soul. Hanami staggers. Todo goes completely still. What was that? Not a question, a statement. A statement from a man who has never been surprised by anything in a fight. Yuji doesn't have an answer, he just knows it worked. Toto looks at his best friend for a long time. My best friend is an absolute monster! At the edge of the forest, an old man turns and walks away. The third lesson is already waiting. The third lesson arrives after the death painting arc. Modulo Yuji approaches teenage Yuji and says 3 words. Learn to heal. Reverse Curse Technique is one of the rarest abilities in the Jujutsu Kaisen universe. Even within a month before his battle against Sukuna, Yuji only managed to learn the basics of Reverse Curse Technique through replacement training with Yuta. In the original timeline, it takes the entire series before Yuji can access it. Most sorcerers never learn it at all. Modulo Yuji has had it for 68 years. Your body already heals faster than any human alive. It knows what healing feels like. You just haven't told your cursed energy to do it consciously yet. He demonstrates once, a small cut on his forearm, closed in seconds, then looks at teenage Yuji. Your turn. It takes 3 weeks of night sessions. Not because Yuji isn't trying, but because Reverse Curse Technique requires a level of cursed energy precision that most sorcerers spend entire careers reaching. The energy has to turn inward. It has to work against itself. It has to become something completely different from what it does in a fight. But teenage Yuji has something most sorcerers don't. His body already housed 2 souls, his own and Sukuna's, giving him a perception of energy flows inside him that goes far beyond what a normal sorcerer can feel. On night 21, teenage Yuji heals a cut on his own hand for the first time. He stares at it. Modulo Yuji is already standing to leave. Again tomorrow. Modulo Yuji doesn't react, doesn't acknowledge what just happened. What teenage Yuji just did should be impossible for a first year who has been a sorcerer for less than 6 months. Because Modulo Yuji knows something teenage Yuji doesn't. The clock is running. That day was October 30th, one day before the Shibuya incident. Yuji doesn't know what is coming tomorrow. Doesn't know that tomorrow the Jujutsu world will break in half. But this time, the Yuji walking into Shibuya isn't the same one from the original timeline. This one learned to keep fighting when the person he loved just died. This one knows where the soul lives and how to hit it. This one can heal himself in the dark without anyone watching. Shibuya has never seen anything like what is coming through its gates tomorrow.